When readers open a fantasy novel, they don't just enter a plot, they step into an entirely new universe. From the rolling Shire hills to the frozen wall, immersive world building is what transforms a simple story into an epic journey. In fantasy fiction, richly imagined settings underpin everything: plot, character motivation, thematic depth, and reader investment. J.R.R. Tolkien and George R.R. Martin stand as two towering examples of authors whose painstaking world-building efforts elevated their works. The Lord of the Rings and A Song of Ice and Fire, respectively, into modern classic literature. Why world building is so important in uh, fantasy fiction? In any fantasy fiction, the world itself acts as a silent protagonist, shaping events, influencing decisions, and coloring every emotional beat. Before we dive into the specific benefits of robust world building, it is essential to recognize that a fantasy fiction and its setting is more than backdrop. It's the framework that holds the story's elements in uh, harmonious tension. The world or setting of the a fantasy is a context for conflict. A well-defined world provides the social, political, and ecological backdrop against which conflicts unfold. Without understanding its stakes, be they cultural rivalries or ancient prophecies, clashes between characters can feel arbitrary. Second, emotional resonance. Readers form deeper attachments when they comprehend the norms, myths, and histories of a fictional culture. A battle for a homeland feels more urgent if that homeland has a story's past. 3. Narrative coherence. Consistent geography, magic systems, and histories prevent plot holes. World building acts as an internal rulebook, ensuring that characters' actions and the world's reactions remain believable. 4. Thematic depth. Themes such as power, betrayal, or environmental stewardship gain greater weight when anchored in a fully realized world. The backdrop becomes a character in its own right, reflecting and refracting the story's core ideas. We examine two fantasy worlds in this video, uh, first from Tolkien and another from Martin. Tolkien's Middle-earth did not spring forth fully formed overnight. Instead, it was the culmination of decades spent crafting languages, histories, and cultures that echo with um, mythic grandeur. His methodical approach laid the groundwork for narratives that feel as if they originated in the mists of time. He worked, he worked hard on linguistic foundation. Long before The Hobbit appeared, Tolkien was constructing Elvish tongues, Quenya and Sindarin, complete with grammar and lexicons. These languages dictated cultural traits for elves, for example, their love of poetry, enriching every dialogue and poem in Middle-earth. He also worked on layered histories. The Silmarillion, though published posthumously, records even records events from the creation of Arda to the end of the Third Age by situating the Lord of the Rings within this millennia spanning history. Tolkien gave readers a sense that his tale was but one chapter in a grand saga. He also worked hard on detailed geographies, hand-drawn maps, chart rivers, mountains, and realms. Place names carry linguistic clues about their inhabitants and past. When Frodo's fellowship moves from the pastoral Shire into the dark mines of Moria, the shift feels visceral. It also has mythic resonance, drawing on Norse, Anglo-Saxon, and Finnish myth. Tolkien wove familiar motifs, fallen kings, epic quests, into original forms. This uh, deep well of reference makes Middle-earth feel both new and timeless. It has a strong impact on readers and writers. Tolkien's world building set a benchmark. Fantasy writers today routinely cite his layered histories and languages as inspiration and warn against underplanning magical systems or cultures. George Martin shifted the paradigm by infusing his fantasy world with the ruthless intricacies of real-world politics and human ambition. His layered approach to power, geography, and culture ensures that every maneuver in Westeros reverberates through a believable social framework. He has created a living political web. In A Song of Ice and Fire, each of the great houses, Stark, Lannister, Targaryen, etc., boasts distinct histories, sigils, and alliances. Martin drafted family trees, feast menus, and treaties year before writing the first novel that ensures betrayals and marriages felt consequential. He crafted a geoclimatic detail. Westeros' seasons last years, not months, shaping agriculture, warfare, and superstition. The perpetual threat of long night gives the looming White Walker menace genuine dread. His war has cultural nuances. The Free Cities each harbor unique customs, from Bravusi sword dance to Dothraki horse lord lore. These cultural layers prevent the war from feeling monolithic. Travel between regions becomes a study in contrasts. And finally, it has moral ambiguity. By embedding characters within complex social systems where honor, survival, and ambition collide, Martin's words feels morally unpredictable. A nice vow may bind him, a lord's inheritance might compel ruthless choice. Martin's meticulous notes, many of which he had shared in interviews, underscore that coherent politics and geography enable surprising yet plausible plot twists. Writers learn to balance large-scale scheming with individual character arcs. After surveying two masterclass examples, it's time to distill actionable guidance for writers writing their own reels. These best practices will help ensure consistency, depth, and reader engagement from first draft to final edit. First, start with foundations. Sketch broad strokes, world geography, epochs of history, core cultures. Even a simple timeline helps maintain consistency. Second, layer in details gradually. Infuse your story with artifacts, songs, proverbs, legends that hint at a deeper past without overwhelming the reader. Third, define rules early. If magic exists, outline its costs, limits, and social roles. Readers will judge your story by how faithfully you adhere to these rules. Fourth, use maps as guides, not gimmicks. Visual aids can clarify journeys and borders, but only include maps that actually serve plot or character movement. And finally, balance familiarity and novelty. Ground readers with archetypes, For example, a wise mentor, a brooding bastion of power before twisting expectations. This interplay keeps your world both accessible and surprising. Epic fantasy thrives on a scale, not just in the length of its quest, but in the depth of its invented world. Building that world is no side project; it's the very scaffold upon which narrative, character, and theme climb. Tolkien's age-long histories and Martin's political intricacies each requires years of preparation, but those efforts yielded universes that readers continue to inhabit long after the final page. For any writer aiming to transport audiences to new realms, rigorous world building isn't optional, it's indispensable.